Hey everybody, welcome in. It's Julie Max and the Maine Stamper, and we are live for our weekly card class from Maine. It is just a little bit after 8 o'clock here in Maine on the East Coast, and it was a snowy day today. In fact, I took a snow day. I stayed home because I don't like to drive in the snow. It snowed all day. It started snowing yesterday. It snowed all day today, pretty much. And we have a bit of snow, and it's really pretty, but definitely not the kind of weather that you might want to go out and do some shopping in. Speaking of shopping, and of course it's the Christmas season, right? We're all busy shopping. Tonight's class is going to be called Shop the Town. So this is our Festival of Trees, week number 8. We're 8 weeks into Festival of Trees. And of course the trees, the Festival of Trees, the whole idea behind Festival of Trees is that I am bringing you 10 card classes total, and each stamp set has to have a tree. It has to have a pine tree in it. So Shop the Town has a really lovely tree that we're going to be using tonight. So I'm really excited to bring you this class. Now after tonight, we have 2 more weeks of Festival of Trees. And then we will be moving on from all of these pine trees that we've been playing with for so many weeks. Hi Sandra, so good to see you here. I'm glad that you're joining me for the class. Hi Linda. Okay, awesome. I've got a couple friends that have popped on and found me. That is good news. We're going to get over to my workspace and we're going to talk a little bit about shopping. Hi Jess. Continue please to say hi as you jump on. I always love to know who's with me hanging out in the craft room today. All right, let's get over to my workspace and we are going to talk a little bit more about Shop the Town. So this is a photopolymer stamp set. It's in the mini catalog. I forgot to look to see what page it's on in the mini catalog. It's in the mini, and we all know that the mini has a retiring list out. Many things are leaving. It's on page 19, actually. 19 of the mini catalog. It is not on sale, sadly. I feel like it should be. And it's not returning, so it will be going away for forever. But Shop the Town has the shops. Now, if you're familiar with the annual catalog, the Let's Go Shopping bundle, this is in the annual catalog. It's still in there. It had the shop or the house, depending on how you wanted to make this, right? Of course, you had all these cute little go-tos. And then it has coordinating dies. This is so, I absolutely love. Nothing pleases me more in the catalog than to see a stamp set and a new catalog that goes with a stamp set in the old and I shouldn't say old, but in our annual catalog. We've got the same buildings here, so these dies will work with this building. Now this one is more housey than shoppy, if that's a thing. I feel like this one is more shoppy, but this could definitely be a shop. But it's got a big old fat Christmas tree, and that's where we're going with this stamp set today. So I wanted to point that out to you. I will be actually making a card using these coordinating dies, and like I said, it just makes me super happy. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Shop the Town card class. With your $40 order tonight, you get the 6 card kits for free. I'm gonna pop them in the mail to you. Look at the blingy pretty papers, right? So we are still focusing on Christmas cards. We have some really great traditional colors here in the garden green, shaded spruce, cherry cobbler, and night of navy. Those are our heavy card bases here. We've got garden green, night of navy, and the white. A $50 order is going to get you the 6 card kits. Now there's 2 card kits in each envelope, and I'll be sharing the cards tonight, and then you get to make these at home. The gift this is a gift, right? The $50 order gets you the 6 card kits and the embellishment. Now this is the embellishment that some of you have been waiting for. They never came back in stock. In fact, they sold out. These are the Adhesive Backed Star Trinkets. Ooh la la, I have some of these. I have some of these to go around. So if you spend $50 with me this week through Friday, you're going to get 6 card kits and a full pack. Now I've been playing with mine in the cards, but this is a sold out item, and I do have limited supply. So I recommend, if you're interested, let me know. We'll get that order in for you and get that taken care of so you can get those great embellishments. The host code this week is CT6ZMQMD. And again, this is good through Friday, December 8th. And then we're going to turn around and work on our next class after that. So I'm really excited. Hi, Patty. So good to see you. So these are your card kits. We're going to start out really basic today. We're going to start out with our basic colors here. Garden green, shaded spruce, cherry cobbler. Now this is a fun card kit because you're getting a lot of different things in it. You're going to get 3 different size die cuts of the deckled circles. So you can see them all here. I'm going to actually pop one apart because I'm going to put one together with you. You are getting, this is an embossed cherry cobbler piece. This is the exposed brick. And then I'm going to grab up one of those. You're getting some fun designer series paper, all cut for you, ready to go. And I have been sneaking in the snowflake embossing folder into every card. This is the one. This is the card for this class that has the embossing folder. So I actually have 2 embossed pieces for you from this one. So this is kind of a fun little surprise, right? So these are all the parts and pieces. I'm going to move my other parts and pieces aside, pull out my card base that's ready to go, and then we can dig into this wonderful card, right? So garden green, very classic colors. And for this one, we're actually going to be using quite a few of the stamp sets. So here's our card. Here's a peek at it. We've got the garden green. So you can see that we're going to decorate all of these little circles with different things. I'm so excited about all of the different things. Let's do the bones of our card first, though, because I do like to share with you pretty much what you could do with this card kit if you didn't have the stamps that I'm going to be using and you were just going to substitute in other items, which obviously is very creative of you. I applaud and I love it when you guys share with me all of the things that you're making with the card kits. I am always just so amazed. So we're going to put this beautiful panel of white cardstock down right onto our card base here, right? I like to keep the snowflakes kind of lighter at the top, heavier at the bottom, similar to how they landed in my yard today, right? They're very heavy at the bottom. Fortunately, my mister has a plow and he has a snowblower and he has all kinds of good things, and he doesn't make me shovel. So that's always a good thing. So we're going to go ahead, and this is gorgeous, right? Always when we flip over the paper, you can see different patterns here. So maybe you want to make something with, and it depends on how it's cut, right? But the papers will coordinate to do different things. So here, I'm playing with the back side here for a second. I don't necessarily think I would want that together. I like the green pattern here. So we're going to go ahead and put adhesive down on this more blue pattern, and we're going to put this piece right here. It's going to fit top to bottom on your embossed snowflake piece. And again, I love the layers. I go heavy with the layers. So if you decide that this is as far as you want to go and you're going to save the rest of the stuff for another card, you sure could. You could pop on this big circle here and you could call it beautiful. I mean, it's already beautiful, right? So, but I like to add a little bit. So we're going to put this stripy paper on next. Even though the bears are super cute, they just don't quite go with my theme. So we're going to put some adhesive onto the back of the bears. This is really fun paper. I love all the designer papers, especially the Christmas ones. We're going to layer this right across here. Now this is the same width as the embossed piece, so we really don't have a lot of snowflakes showing anymore. Like, we kind of covered them up, but at the same time you can still see little peaks of them here and there. Now before I put on this cherry cobbler piece, I do want to take a moment to find something that I can use and bring in some ink and a blending brush, because you know I love to add extra ink to everything. It just changed it up so much. So you may not even be able to really see the embossing that's going on here. I'm going to bring in my cherry cobbler ink and my blending brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and deepen this down, and already I can see such a difference, right? So I'm kind of going around the 4 corners, the 4 outside edges, I should say. I'm not necessarily pushing it all the way to the middle. So if I pick it up, there may be a little bit of light here in the middle where I didn't touch it. But it's just so fantastic when you can add that little bit of ink. Always makes such a big difference. So that's cherry cobbler. And now we're going to just go ahead and put this down here as well onto our card base. We haven't even gotten to the stamping and the good stuff yet. Now you can look at the pattern here and decide which side you want to be up or down. We're going to put it right about here, I think. I'm looking at my sample card and trying to determine. I like to make them similarly, right? But they don't necessarily have to be matchy, matchy, matchy. All of the cards should be unique. So here's the bones of your card right here. And again, you still have these circles that you could put anything. You could put a ginormous Christmas sentiment on here. It's really pretty. You could put something on here, maybe a poinsettia flower, and then a sentiment on here. You know, so you've got these options here where you can mix it up and change it around and do all of the good things. We're going to do some stamping now, though. So we're going to actually stamp on these, and we're also going to stamp on this little white scrap here, and we're going to do everything in Memento ink. So the Memento black ink is our friend. We're going to do this nice little arch here. You can probably see it better on the stamp case. This nice little arch right here. It's kind of, we're going to flip this over. I think we're going to get better ink on here if I have it facing up. And just make sure I cover this really well with my Memento ink. Okay, so photopolymer stamps, you know, they always stamp a little bit, I would say, not as nicely as a rubber stamp. So you want to make sure you have enough ink on them. You want to make sure you have enough pressure on them, because sometimes you get those spots that just don't completely ink up. Now that looks pretty good. So we've got the majority of the little arch goes on there, just like that. I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to continue to stamp. So we are using lots of different stamps from this stamp set. We're going to now use the little family of singing Christmas carolers here. I think they're super cute. So there we go. We've got the little, I'm going to call this mom, dad, and son, although it could be daughter. So we have that little happy family there. And then we're going to do wonderful wishes to you on the smallest circle. Now these are all circles from the Stylish Shapes dies. This is like probably my go-to dies. I would highly recommend Wonderful Wishes to You. I'm recommending Wonderful Wishes to You because why not, right? Oh, we have one more thing that we're going to stamp. We're going to stamp the tree. We're going to stamp the tree. And I've got this scrap here for you. Now, of course, there's no dies. This is just a standalone stamp set, the Shop the Town. The only thing that coordinates for dies would be for the shop or the house part. And I'm going to flip this over because I think this might be a better option. I smudged the front. Okay, so here's our little tree. So what I was saying is that there's no dies. So this is all fussy. I've been fussy cutting this tree quite a bit today. So we're going to color these, some little coloring here. We're not going to color everything. I did speed it up here a little bit with some magic. So I'm going to bring this paper back in, and we're going to just start out with this. Now I'm going to, basically these are all of the colors that I'm using in tonight's class. I've got Cherry Cobbler, Shaded Spruce, the Dark Daffodil, I have Pebbled Path, and then I have some of those neutral colors. I've got SU 300 and SU 800. So those are the colors that I'm using. We're going to start out with the light Pebbled Path. I try to keep everything kind of simple. I mean, I have all the colors, but that doesn't mean I want to use all the colors every time. And it's because, well, it's a couple of reasons actually. To be honest, when I'm writing out the card recipes, because if you order the class from me, you also get card recipes with the PDF, with the directions and all the things that I used. I don't want to have like an 8-page recipe because I used every color in the rainbow. That's one reason. But to be honest, the real reason is not everyone has all the colors. So I try to keep them kind of similar, so that, you know, kind of and minimal, so that if you have a few colors, you can swap in what you have. You don't have to go crazy going, oh man, I have none of those things. There's nothing worse than looking at someone's card and trying to replicate it and having not like nothing that they have. So this was the Pebbled Path, the light and dark, and I just simply colored in the columns there. I kept the darker there for the middle. Now for the little arbor here, the little arch of greens and berries and such, I'm using the dark Cherry Cobbler. And always when I color, I have the little nib end here, so it's just really easy to dot on the color. And I'm just going to kind of come through here quickly and kind of dot on wherever I think this needs to go. There's a mix of what could be greens and what could be little ornamental pieces. Some of it is interpretation. I love that, interpretation. Now I'm going to bring in the dark Shaded Spruce, and I'm going to go ahead and just fill in the greens here wherever I can around the red berries and such. And this is a great color. The Shaded Spruce is very Christmassy, obviously, right? It's a nice rich green. But however, my card base, as you may have noticed, is garden green. So there are no garden green blends. If you look in the annual catalog, and it lists all of the blends that come in all the different colors, there's a few colors out there that don't have coordinating blends. Now there are coordinating Stampin' Right markers, so I could definitely have pulled out garden green markers, but I tend to really like to color with the blends because the ink just kind of pushes on really easily, and it's just a nice smooth application. So I've always been drawn to the blends for that reason. So there is no garden green, and I did attempt a little bit with Old Olive, and Old Olive is definitely no garden green, let me tell you. So Shaded Spruce it was. Shaded Spruce seemed to be the best option here to fill in my greens. So there we go. I filled in my greens pretty nicely, so while we were talking I did that. Now I think as I'm looking at this, this is either going to dry a lot lighter, or I may have used the light color of Shaded Spruce earlier. I do like the dark though, so let's hope that it stays dark. That's what we're going to hope. Now I did color the tree earlier because I didn't want to sit here and color all night with you. Let me grab out my tree real quick from my little mug. So I did color and fussy cut the tree. So I colored the tree in both the light and dark Shaded Spruce. I did all of the little balls and bulbs here in the dark cherry. I left some of this, you can kind of see here from the stamping. Again, interpreting, some of this would be like snow. Now you could do the whole thing in greens if you didn't want this to be an outside tree. This is definitely an outside tree. So I left some of this white, and I did color this star yellow. Even though we're going to put one of these little trinkets on the top, I wanted to make sure that if any of the behind of the trinket showed, that there would be some gold there as well. So we don't have to color or cut the tree for this one. This is done and ready to rock and roll. Look how pretty these are together. I just think it's really fantastic. It does get a bit covered up, so you don't quite see all of that when we get going. So obviously wonderful wishes to you, all set and good. We are going to come on to coloring these guys really quickly. So I've got the SU300 as mentioned. This is a really great skin tone if you're looking for a light color. Now obviously there are so many skin tone colors with the with these beautiful browns and neutrals that the Stampin' Up provides. So definitely grab out whatever works for you. Now I've done the ladies' hair in SU300, and now we're just going to go ahead and color. I'm going to bring in my sample here. Again, I kept the colors pretty simple. I've got the light and dark cherry cobbler for the misses here. So I'm just going to be careful to not color in her little choir book here, her little note sheet of music. So I did her top and her leggings in the lighter color. I did her boots in the darker color of Pebble. We use that on our little arbor there, our little arch. So she's getting some dark colored boots, and everybody's getting dark colored shoes. I just determined, again, so using minimal colors is always nice that way. Now I'm going to bring in the dark cherry, and I'm going to do her little, it almost looks like a skirt here. So she's adorable. And I'm going to do her, I'm pretending she's wearing mittens. So my lady is done. Now we're going to move on to the mister. So the mister is going to get a light Shaded Spruce sweater. He looks very dapper in this color as well. So we're just going to color him in real quick here. And for my man here, I'm going to give him light Pebbled Path trousers because I didn't want to do everything in red and green at the same time. Again, I wanted to keep the color palettes pretty simple. So our young lad here, he has a dark Shaded Spruce sweater and scarf here. And I think I did his earmuffs here as well. And Dad's hat. So again, you can kind of see how I just kind of went back and forth here with the lighter and darker colors. And I highly recommend, if you're not sure what to do and you have the tones that work together, then definitely use them. I'm doing the pants here in the lighter Shaded Spruce as well. And I think we are done, just like that. So again, just a combination of the light and dark colors, pretty neutral looking, and it also looks really nice on our card because I've got all the same colors really that we are using here. All right, so let's set those all aside. We're going to finish our assembly. So we're going to bring back in our card here. And this is where we need to bring in some dimensionals because we want to pop some things up here. All right, so let me go ahead and grab out some dimensionals, and I feel like I might need, I'm going to try to not bump the camera here. I've been using up scraps today, so I'm going to bring in a new sheet. Okay, here we go. So we're going to put this this big arbor, this is going to go down first. So we're going to put dimensionals on this. And we're going to pop this down first. Maybe I'll use about 5 of them or so. That looks about good. And we will get this on here. Bring in my original again so you can see it. So we're going to kind of make use of part of this part of this brick. This is in Cherry Cobbler. Part of this lovely little brick embossed piece. It kind of gives us a flooring here, even though we don't have one here on our circle. It kind of gives us the look of a road, a sidewalk, you know, that kind of look, I guess, is where we're going. So now we're going to bring in these items. I'm going to just dry fit them really quickly. So I want them to come over here. And I still want to be able to see as much as I can of everything I've got done. So they're obviously going off a little sideways right now, and that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dimensional right here, because that's where I want this one to go. So I'm going to pop this over here on this dimensional, right about here, I think. And then this is going to come underneath. So this is where you need to make sure you don't cover up your wonderful wishes, right? So we're going to bring this in and we're going to bring this over kind of right about here. So I'm going to bring in some more dimensionals and I'm going to put a couple right here. I think one of those is the backing from something else. So we're going to pop those off of there. It is so much easier to add your dimensionals to your card project rather than to the back of this piece, because you never know where it's going to bump up next to the next item. So we're going to pop this on here. I might bring this down just a little bit here. And again, no two cards are ever going to be exactly the same. As you can already see, my layout's a little bit different. And now we're going to bring in more dimensionals because we want more dimensionals. We want to pop this tree up. So we're going to bring some more in for this tree. I've got 3 for this one. And this one's just going to come right here in the middle. Now it's going to come over top of the circle where my carolers are, and that is really by design because we're kind of snugging everything in. Maybe I want this up a little bit higher. Let's see. Yeah, right about there. So my little star is going to kind of come up and hit the top of the arbor here, and this little branch is going to come over. So it's very cohesive. Everything fits on here just super nicely. They're looking really spectacular together. And I'm going to go ahead and grab out my take your pick tool, and we're going to grab a star. Now for these little star trinkets, I grabbed one of the small ones and I put this right over top of my tree because that's the best place, right, to put a star, right on top of the tree. And oh my goodness, I can see that I smudged some ink here, so that makes me a little sad, but I smudged a little bit of red ink at the top at some point. So there is card number 1. It's really awesome. I recommend you don't smudge the ink if you can avoid that part. I seem to constantly be smudging the ink. I just don't know what is the deal with the inks. So, okay, so there's card number 1, just making sure we're still good here. Looks like we're doing good. We're gonna move on to our next card. I'll hide the smudged ink. Maybe I will try to do some kind of little workaround. Let me clean up my tree real quick before we jump on to card number 2. Okay, probably need my fingers clean too. Sigh. I don't know. I guess ink is always an issue, right? Hi from the Cape. I'm glad you love the classic Christmas colors. I do too. However, after you say that, now I'm going to bring in a non-traditional. Now it's not non-traditional, but it's definitely some different Christmas colors, and we're really making a play here with the navy. Look at this beautiful ribbon. This has gold in it, so you can see how lovely these are going to work together. These are not quite the traditional colors, obviously, but they're really beautiful together. So I'm sending you some ribbon, even though you may want to get enough of an order put in to get the embellishments. You are definitely getting ribbon with this one. So you've got 2 card bases in the Night of Navy. I'm going to separate out. You've got some really pretty designer series paper. I love this designer series paper, and the back side of it is just a really soft gray. So if you didn't want to use the trees here, you could definitely flip this over and you could still use this card kit and you could do something completely different with it. I mean, so different, right? So there's the bones of our card kit here is coming out. I'm going to grab my pre-scored card base in the Night of Navy, and we're going to get to work on this one. So I'm really excited to be able to share with you what this one is going to look like. So here we go. This one is so pretty. This one is going to take advantage of the actual shops. So the shops that are in the stamp set and the tree. And we're going to do a little blending of some ink. So we've got all kinds of good stuff to do for this one. So let us start working on this. Now, before we get too far in, we're going to grab this piece of Night of Navy. So we've got two pieces of Night of Navy and they kind of disappear on each other, but I do like to have this tone on tone look. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make this little piece right here dark. We're going to add some ink, we're going to change it up. So I'm just going to bring in my Night of Navy, and I got to find the Night of Navy blending brush. So I keep mine labeled. I do not clean them between uses. I keep them labeled, and that way I don't even have to like think about it. I just can make sure I have the right one, put it in the right ink pad. Well, I guess I do have to think about that. That is definitely something to think about, right? And then I can just go ahead and apply the ink in, and I don't have that dry time. Before I had one for each color, I would randomly I would use them all. First of all, I would use them all before I clean them. Like, I never thought ahead. And then I have, you know, 20 dirty brushes, not the clean one that I needed in the right color. And so then I just decided that I was just going to go ahead and get one for each and label them. And that's just going to make my life so much easier. And it has. So now that when I put this on here, you can see, hopefully you can see, a really huge color difference. Now this is, again, the Designer Series paper is going to matte on here, whether you're using the light gray or you're flipping it over and using the most beautiful blue pine trees ever. I love these. And of course, for my card, I'm not even questioning. This gray side is going down. Now, sometimes during my lives, I like to flip it around and use the opposite side, but I love this blue paper so much with these trees. There is no way I would feel comfortable. No way, no way. All right, so now that we've got this beautiful layer right here together, the Designer Series paper and our darkened down Night of Navy cardstock, we're going to bring in our ribbon because we're going to wrap some of it. So you're basically going to decide how much you need to wrap around this, and you're going to cut. And I think it's about 4.5 inches or so. The rest of this will be the ribbon. So don't be too generous with this part or you won't be able to get that wrapped around. For this, I like to bring in the Stampin' Seal and just add some tape here to the back of the ribbon. And I'm using my silicone mat because it just keeps everything, it keeps me sane, really. Everything's not sticking to my desk when I have my silicone mat. So this is going to come on here, and right about here, somewhere in the middle-ish is fine. And then we're just going to simply wrap to the back. So just add a little bit more tape and tuck these over here just like that. And that is so pretty. All right, we're going to bring this in with some dimensionals, which just got to make sure I have them. I put them back in my case because if I don't, I lose them. They get lost on my desk. Anytime you don't put something back in its little home, goodness, will you ever be able to find it again? Probably not. All right, I think that's probably good. All right, so we're going to grab off the dimensional backings here. So this is going to be popped up on our card base. Also gives it a little bit of prominence as well. Now make sure you know which way it opens because we do have an orientation. There is an orientation to the trees. So you want to make sure your trees are going in the right direction, which would be upright, right? So here is part of the bones of your card. I just really like this one a lot. I think it's so pretty. Now we are going to do some fancy things with this piece of paper before we put our tree stamp on it. So we're going to go ahead and let me put away my dimensionals real quick or I'm going to lose them. We're going to go ahead and do some ink blending. Ink blending is one of my favorite things. Now for this card I have Boho Blue, Misty Moonlight, and Night of Navy. So these are really great colors. They go really nicely together. Let me get rid of my dimensional backings. So we're going to start with Boho Blue, and I have the blending brushes for each. So we're going to start at the top with Boho Blue, and we're just going to come down and we're just bringing in some blue ink. It doesn't have to be real specific or scientific. I think that rhymed. I didn't mean to. Okay, so we're just bringing that down maybe a third of the way or so. See how quick that was? You can make up a whole bunch of these and then stamp or do things with them later on as well. If you ever get into the inky mood and you feel like inking stuff up, just go for it, right? So I'm going to bring in Misty Moonlight next, and I'm going to try to catch the middle section here of the Misty Moonlight. And I'm trying to leave some of this darker, some of it lighter. I kind of want a mix of colors, so I'm definitely trying to make it look like we have different colors here. Now the last one we're going to bring back in is the Night of Navy. And this one's going to look totally different from my first one. I can already feel it. I feel like I'm going a lot heavier with the ink blending. So this might be, we'll see how it's going to be. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, ooh, maybe it's going to be too dark. But we're going to bring that navy in, and that navy almost has a purplish tinge to it. I don't know if you can see it here or not, but it lends itself to a little bit of purple, which I think is really kind of neat for the fact that it is navy, right? All right, so while the navy ink is out, we're bringing in our tree stamp because the intention here is to make a blue tree. And we made the blue tree. We didn't just use plain old regular cardstock, and we didn't use designer series paper. We made our own. So here you're going to see from my tree, I have the 3 colors in it. I've got the light at the top, the medium, and I've got that little bit of purplish navy toward the bottom. So that is how we are making our tree. Now this one I do have to fussy cut. I did not make one ahead, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim this real quickly. I have been trimming the trees. I have been trimming the trees all day, and that is definitely a pun that I did not anticipate coming out of my mouth, but I have been doing some tree trimming today. And by tree trimming, I basically mean paper snips in my craft room with paper. My Christmas trees, plural, most of them have been up actually since like last fall. And by last fall, I don't mean 2023, I mean 2022. I kept a lot of my Christmas trees up. If you don't know me, I love Christmas. And I always anticipate taking down Christmas, you know, sometime in late February when I'm ready to, when it's starting to get lighter out and the days aren't so dark, because I love the Christmas lights. And then February turned into May, and then May turned into July, and then July turned into September. And then I thought, you know, why would I take down my Christmas trees now? I'll just leave them up. And this tree I can see already is a lot darker than my original, but I really do like it. So that is our little tree here, and that's a little story about my own tree trimming adventures. And now we're going to move on to the houses or the shops, depending on what you think they are. So there's the 2 pieces here in Shop the Town, and I'm sending you this Misty Moonlight piece of paper with the intention that you're going to stamp Night of Navy ink and create this. Now, if you don't have this particular stamp set and you're substituting in other things, that's awesome. Maybe you have the Les Shops, the Let's Go Shopping from the Let's Go Shopping suite. Maybe you could substitute in those with a different pine tree, and you're going to get a very similar look here. So we're going to go ahead and ink up the bottom and the top. So these are 2 different, obviously 2 different stamp sets. I just love this look. This is like a blueprint look to me, and I just think it's really cool. And it's blue. I put this on blue paper, which makes it truly blueprint, right? Now we are going to cut these apart, and we're going to die cut these. Now you could trim, this would be so easy to fussy cut. These shapes are pretty simple. However, we do have the dies from the coordinating stamp and die bundle from the Let's Go Shopping. So we're going to do this real quick. I don't do a lot of die cutting with you, so we're going to die cut these, and I'm just going to pop these onto my base plate. I have it all set up to be for die cutting, and I'm going to bring in my dies, and I'm just going to surround my stamped images here with the little dies. These are like little cookie cutters. So they go on there just very nicely, and then I'm going to back out my plates a little bit, pop this one on. I like to kind of hold them with my fingers a little bit as I push that toward, I'm cranking the handle, push that toward the center rollers, just so that they don't wiggle too much. There we go. So now we're going to check out our die cutting. Now, of course, this was a lot quicker, right, than fussy cutting. However, this could have been fussy cut really easily. Probably easier than the trees. I really wish that there was a die that would take care of that for us. Hi, Janice. So good to see you. The blues. Oh, yes. The blues are catching Janice's eye. You know what? I love, no secret there, I love the blue cards, right? So this is a little bit different from the traditional cards. So I'm bringing in, this time I have a dauber, Night of Navy, and we're just going to go ahead and add a little bit of ink here to the outside edges, just so it looks a little bit more distinguished, right, from just stamping and die cutting. I always love to add ink. That might be my motto. Add ink and layers. Those are okay. That's like my secret recipe. If you want my secret recipe for any card, add ink and layers. That's pretty much where I'm at. Okay, so we're adding more ink, more layers. That is what card making is all about. All right, so that just kind of deepens down the outside edges. It really just kind of brings that to life a little bit more. Oh, I forgot to stamp the wreath. This is the cutest little thing. This is the cutest little thing. So this obviously is the Christmas set from the annual catalog. It's just the shops. Let's go shopping. This has a little wreath. This little wreath fits in this little doorway. I'm so excited about that. So we're going to stamp this wreath in the Night of Navy. Actually, I'm going to take off my glasses here and I'm going to put my head down a little bit because I'm going to try to line this up better. Oh, that's not too bad. Okay, so there we go. I got that pretty close for doing this on film. I definitely need new glasses. I think I keep saying this every week I come on here. I can't see. I take my glasses off. I do the stamping and I'm like, I need to make an appointment to go to the eye doctor's. And that's going to be weeks out. I'm going to be weeks out. It's going to be weeks before I get new glasses. So the longer I sit here and go, I need new glasses, it's just crazy times. All right, before I put that away, let's bring in our little scrap, which I think I dropped on the floor. Hold please while I pick that up. Okay, so you're getting a little scrap, and on this little scrap you are going to stamp Happy Holidays. Again, Night of Navy ink. And let's see, we're going to kind of come maybe over here, and then we're going to trim this a little bit too. So I left maybe 3/4 of an inch or so here where my thumb is, and then I'm going to trim it this way. And that's because I don't want it to take up all the room across, although I guess that's coming out a little bit farther. Maybe I'll trim the other end here. My fear is always that I'm not going to trim this the straightest. And I could bring in my paper trimmer, but okay. Trimming that up just a little bit. I try to give you extra paper just in case. And now we are on to the final assembly. So let's bring everything in and get it all taken care of. Now for our little shop, the bottom of the house is going to kind of come straddling this little bit of ribbon here. So I'm going to bring in my dimensionals. And I'm going to do the same with my dimensionals. So I'm going to bring in 2 here underneath the ribbon and 2 here above the ribbon. And that way I'm not putting them on the back of this and then trying to figure out why is it lumpy and bumpy, right? So that works out beautifully. I'm going to take the backings off of here. I do love to use dimensionals too. Adding layers, but some of the layers need to have a little bit of height. So we're going to bring in our little house. I'm going to call this a house. We're going to bring that in right about there. Now we're going to do the same thing with the topper here, top of the building. We're going to just bring in a couple of dimensionals just like this, and then we're going to set this. Now you can bring it down a little bit over top. You can leave it underneath. So there's room still to tuck this underneath if you wanted to. I think I like it tucked underneath a little bit. So we're going to do our best to make that kind of straight. Might be a little late for that, but we're gonna do our best. So there we go. We got our little building. Our building is put together here. Now we're gonna bring in the tree, so you can kind of see how these blue layers are building on blue layers. And for the tree, again, we're gonna do some dimensionals, and I'm gonna leave them kind of toward the side here. I think I can get one more in the middle here, because my dimensionals are going to land on this house, so I don't necessarily need them way to the left side for my tree. So I'm going to bring this in here, and we're covering up the window pretty good. It kind of lines up again here. The little star kind of lines up with this window, which is really cute. Okay, so there is that. Now we're going to bring in, okay, so for Happy Holidays, little sentiment here, if you're going to put dimensionals here, which I would recommend because that's kind of help to hold that up a little bit, you want a double decker. So I just put on one and I took off the backing. I'm going to put on a second one right here because this is really low compared to where our tree is. I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive glue here if I can get any to come out, and we're going to pop this on here right about here. So we've got our double decker of embellishments underneath, dimensionals underneath, and then our sentiments coming across just like that. Now we need to do our blinging and fun parts here. We've got this leftover little bit of ribbon. So we're going to do our best here to make a nice little bow. Thinking bow happy thoughts. So I'm just kind of manipulating here as I go before I pull it too far one way or another. loosen up my ribbons and then tighten my ribbons and pull it back this way again and then pull it tighter. I think we're pretty close. All right, now I like to trim the ends a little bit so that they look a little bit nicer at an angle. And get rid of my scrappies. Now this little bow is going to come right on top of here, and I like to do that with tear and tape. Yes, it covers up the tree quite a bit, but the idea is you can still see most of the items here on this card. You can pretty much see everything on here, right? This sheer ribbon is gorgeous. It does kind of cover the sentiment a little bit, but again, it's very sheer. Maybe if I come this way a little bit, I might trim this one more little fussy bitness here, right here. Fussy. I'm being fussy tonight, aren't I? Oh my goodness. I'm like, okay, I want to cut you this way a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so there we have it. So the Happy Holidays gets covered up a little bit, but it is nice and sheer. And I feel like I have little bits of the gold flecks coming off of the ribbon from all the playing that I did with it. Now for this one, which was really fun, like really fun. Obviously you get these embellishments at home. You can put these on however you want. If you want to just put one on the tree, you certainly could. I really like the idea of putting one in each window here. See if I can get them to go in the right direction. Kind of where the windows cross, like these little the little frames in the window. So I use the smaller. Now these embellishments are two sizes. There's a small and there's a large. I did not put one on my tree, only because the tree really does kind of come right up against the window here, and I just thought that that was really cute to have those 4 little star trinkets come across there. How cute is that? I feel like I have gold everywhere, but oh, I just love this one. I just think this is really pretty. Again, not a very traditional card, but definitely something that is really fun. And maybe this isn't even necessarily a Christmas card. If you didn't want it to say Happy Holidays, you know, maybe this could be a birthday card for someone that has a December, January birthday, right? Because it's kind of wintry. And it would imply some shopping, so I like that one too. Aw, thanks Michelle and Janice. I'm glad, and Jackie, I'm glad you guys like the blue card. This is always a fun, I love to bring in the blues, right? Okay, so that's card number 2. So we've got 2 cards in, we've got 1 to go. Now for our last card, we're kind of going back to the traditional again. So let me move my scissors out of the way here. So we're going back to, no, wait a second. This is not the card. That was our first card. I got tricked. Okay, here it is. We are going back to traditional colors. I just pulled out the wrong card kit. So this is our last card kit. And you can see here we've got a lot, and I mean a lot. And you're like, what are we doing with all these squares? I hope you're already wondering what we're doing with all these squares. Now there is enough here for 2 card kits. So I am going to separate out, oops, I want one of these. And some of those, and that, and that. And I love to just pull out all these little parts and pieces and amaze you with what we're going to do with all of them. In fact, I'm looking at the card and going, okay, what am I doing with that? Okay, yeah, I got it. Okay, this is a piece of white that is embossed with the wood, the timber embossing folder. You've got 2 card bases. These are the thick white card bases. My cards need a thick white card base because I like a lot of layers on them. So not kidding there. I have one that's ready to go. So you're going to see some white on white here. And some very traditional colors. Like this is the next card kit. So I hope you're really excited about what we're going to be doing. And to show it off, here it is. This is our card kit. So we're taking advantage of kind of the quilted or patchwork. We've got some really great little squares with patterns here. The green holds our Christmas tree. And I hope you guys are checking out the oohing and eyeing of the fancy Christmas tree here, because we're going to do some really fun technique here in a minute. So first let's talk about this embossed piece for our card base. Now normally this is not something I do, but for this instance, because I loaded this up so heavily, I actually made this piece, this panel that goes on the card front, is the exact same size. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It is the same size as your card base front. So normally I do them like 4 by 5 1/4. I use it as kind of a layering piece. This is going to fit the entire front of your card. Now I don't like to emboss the front panel because then the opposite side, it just gets really weak and you see it through onto the inside. So I like to send you guys paper. I like to use paper and send paper. So we're going to just put this on here. It's going to cover the entire front of your card the entire front. Now the good thing here is that it's white on white, so it's very forgiving. So if you get it a little crooked, you can trim that if you need to, and no one's going to really know that it's, you know, it's off a little bit, because it pretty much, because this is such a big white piece, it covers everything. Now let's bring in some of these little squares, and we're going to just put this designer series paper together, because this is just easy work, right? So I love the back. I always love to look at the back side. So this is going to be the shaded spruce on shaded spruce. Of course, if you wanted to be clever and in a little creative, you could change these up, right? But I've got reds on reds, and I've got greens on greens, and we're just going to go ahead and add these up together. These are squares. So the first thing you're just going to do is layer them. Now there's just a very small matted area. They're not 1/4 inch matte, they're 1/8 inch matte. So that means the designer series paper is 1/8 inch smaller than the cardstock. So there's not a lot of surround, but there's just a little bit. Just enough to give it at the edge. We all need the edge, right? Okay, so we're just going to pop these together. Now when you put them onto your card front, yes, they are definitely lumberjack pattern, but there's almost a pattern to it as well. So if I put these two side by side, you can kind of see that the darker pattern goes up and down here, and on this one the darker pattern goes this way. If you like them to be consistently the same, just kind of pay attention to how your patterns are going to line up. I'm just dry fitting right now, but this gives you an idea of how those are going to go on there. And do the same thing with the green. The green's not quite as noticeable as the red, I feel, but you can definitely, you know, put them on there, dry fit them. They look lovely. And this is just kind of the bones of your card, right? So you have the cherry cobbler down here, you have a white piece that's going to be your sentiment piece, and from here, of course, you could do whatever you want. We're going to do some presents, we're going to make a tree, and it's going to be really fancy. Let's do this part first. We're going to bring in memento, and we're using the 3rd sentiment. So this stamp set, Shop the Town, has 3 Christmas sentiments. Well, wonderful wishes to you could be a birthday one. These could be birthday presents, just saying. Maybe these are people singing happy birthday. Oh my gosh, the thoughts in my head. All right, but anyway, happy holidays, wonderful wishes to you, Christmas magic is in the air. Those are the 3 sentiments in the stamp set, and I have managed to use all of them. I'm always excited when I can do that. So Christmas magic is in the air. I thought I lost this one for a minute. This is going to fit right here on the middle of this white strip, and it's so pretty. I love it. All right, now this is the hard part. This is probably the hardest part of the card. Lining up with this little wreath. We used this on the last card, if you recall. We used this in the doorway. I was really excited about it. So we're going to try to line up 2 wreaths, and I kind of fell short there. Let's see how I do on this one. I can always bring in a marker and add a little bit of line. My intention was to get it to the top of the white paper here, and I don't know if I have a black marker handy. So we're going to do that. We're going to pretend that's perfect and we don't have to worry about it. On this tiny little strip, this tiny little paper right here, we will be stamping a couple of the presents. So let me just stamp these real quickly so you can see how cute they are. And of course, these are really easy to color and also really easy to fussy cut, because we are going to be fussy cutting those. We're going to color these in real quick. Let's color in the wreaths. So again, I'm going to just bring in, this looks like I used the dark on both of them just to have some dark colors. I'm going to start with the red. I feel like if you fill in the berries and the bow first, you're less likely to color it with green, because it's really easy to just pull green everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and do these real quickly. The bow, the little berries on here, and if you're not even sure where they go, just dot some on there and call it good. Now we're going to bring in the shaded spruce, and again, I've got the dark here, so this is going to be less forgiving if I mess up too much. So I am coloring, trying to see what I'm doing, and I'm just kind of giving it just a rough color right now. I can go back in later and just kind of take off my eyeglasses, right, and just kind of put my nose right up to my paper and take a better swipe at some of these. But there we go. To be able to see, that would be so lovely, wouldn't it? All right, so there we go. You can kind of see how cute that is, right? We're going to just put this right here onto the strip of cherry cobbler that we have. If I can flip that over, there we go. This is going to mat on here just beautifully. Christmas magic is in the air. I feel like it's coming. Okay, so with the presents, I did fussy cut. Let me grab out my little parts and pieces. Fussy cut these out already. So let's just color them quickly. Again, I'm going to be using Shaded Spruce, both the light and the dark, and also the Cherry Cobbler light and dark. And I'm just going to basically kind of pick and choose who's getting what colors where. So just kind of going back and forth. Just some quick coloring here. Like to have all the pretty matching presents here. So there's a couple of those. I'm looking at my sample to see kind of how I did this too. So this is the light cherry. We'll come over here and do this part. And of course, this is all optional. You could definitely choose to add lots of different colors on here if you wanted to. We're just going to do all of that, just that color. There we go. Oh, I think this bow I did in the lighter color of the cherry. We're going to bring in some dark green now, and we're going to do this guy over here. And again, this is all up to interpretation. You could definitely feel free to mix it up, mix and match. And then I think I want the dark cherry for this one right here. And almost done with that. Okay, that looks good. We're going to add a dark one right here to that one, and maybe a dark one right there. And we're going to call those good. Okay, so there's our little presents. Those are going to go on to some of our squares. Now, let's talk about this tree. So you've got some Shaded Spruce here. Actually, I don't need that. That's for the markers, really. So the Shaded Spruce, the tree. We've used this tree on all 3 cards, which I'm always excited about when I can use the tree on all 3 cards. We're going to bring in Shaded Spruce ink, and we're going to go ahead and stamp this so it's tone on tone. So we're getting our Shaded Spruce tree. I'm not going to let that go too far. So here's our little tree, and here's our little tree. So there's a huge difference in little tree. Like, I'm really excited about this part. So I have these enamel effects, these pearlized enamel effects. These are in the annual catalog. I'm using the red and white. Now this comes in a 3-pack. You're getting red, white, and black in this 3-pack, and there's a pack of metallics. So for this one, I'm just basically pushing on this really cool, and it's raised and it's shiny and pretty. So it has a little fine tip. You definitely want to make sure you shake it down to the bottom here. And then you're just going to kind of squirt this out, and I followed along wherever I thought that maybe we need a little bit of white, wherever the little swooshes might be for, and then I also kind of made my own swooshes in here too. So you can kind of just get creative with this. I'll pick this up in just a second. I think I just want to keep adding in some white here real quick. Now this does take some drying time. So this is not something that you just kind of, you know, do and then, you know, add to your card. You're going to have to wait a little bit. So here is the white. You can kind of see that. And hopefully you can see that it's got like a raised look to it. And it is very wet. So it takes a bit of time to dry. I'm going to come back in here with the little bit of red here. I love this. I think these little red dots on here are so adorable. Now I want you to notice I didn't do every ornament on this tree. I just did some random ones. Okay, so I didn't want it to be like overpowered with red. Oh, and that kind of spit out a little bit. So I'm just going to make this a dot now. So we're going to just dot a few of them. So just basically squeezing this out. It comes out in like a little dotted format anyway. It'll kind of come up to the top like a Hershey Kiss, or like a chocolate chip, if you will. So sometimes it kind of pulls upward and has like a little crinkly, a little top to it. It'll settle down as it's drying typically. So I don't try to worry about that too much. But let me lift this up here and show you. It's just super cute. I mean, I love the look of this. I think it just really adds to this Christmas tree. This makes it really super festive. Now I'm gonna let this dry in my craft room, and because the wood stove is on and it's warm and dry, I mean like super dry, right? It dried within a few hours. And you can take a heat tool and just kind of make sure it's heated. You don't obviously want to melt it, but this one's all set. I let this dry. I think I stamped this probably around 6 o'clock, so maybe even only a couple of hours it was ready to go. And I fussy cut it just like I have been doing, fussy cutting, and we're going to come in on the sides here of this one with a dauber, and we're just going to add a little bit of green ink. I'm going to ink down my little star area too. So again, just the edges here, just so that it just doesn't look, you know, quite so plain and flat. So what do you guys think of these pearlized enamel effects? I think they're really cool. I did have some fun with these when I made the tags for my Christmas stamp camp. The red is just, I mean, it's just fantastic. You cannot get a better berry look. It's almost like you're making your own little embellishments, really. It's really kind of cool. So I just went around and did a little bit there on the outside edges, and now we're going to just go ahead and put our card together. And then we're going to call this class is going to be done. Now, when you have your card and you're ready to put it together, obviously make sure you know which way it opens. We had kind of dry fit this before. We're going to dry fit again, because that's just, you want to make sure everything's going to fit on here before you start gluing stuff down, or you're going to be really sad if you run out of room. So I'm basically putting everything on here that I want to go on here, and then I'm going to go ahead and start gluing. So if you have ever made any framed art pieces and you've worked with squares, I want to first of all say, woohoo! You're my heroes. I love to do these on like little framed art pieces. So working with the squares, you're kind of used to, you know, lining things up, making them as straight as possible. These again are all going down flat. We're kind of leaving that little separation in between, which is going to give us that nice little square in the middle too, right? That little, like that little cross in the middle of white. And we're going to pop this guy on here. Now on the bottom one, I did put dimensionals on the back of my sentiment piece. So I'm going to just go ahead and layer across a few here, probably 4, just kind of straight across. And we're going to put this on right side up, would be very lovely. And right about here looks good. So that's going to go across there on the bottom. Now my little tree is going to go on with dimensionals also. I love this tree. I would love to know in the comments which tree has been your favorite, because we've done 3 different kinds of trees tonight. We did the blue, where we did blending of ink. This is the really fancy one, right? This one has the pearl effects. And then we started out with just a tree that we colored. All we had to do was color it. Now for this, these little gifts right here, I'm going to put these on with dimensionals, but I am going to use the minis. So I got to dig through and find my minis. Because these are small, I'm just popping 1 mini on each. And we're going to kind of line them up side by side here and overstack a little bit. So we're going to just pop 1 here, and then the next one's going to come on. Now I can, because I have my dimensional right here and I have some space here, I can overlap this a little bit onto the next presents, and that way they just kind of snug together, which is really cute. So now all we're missing is our bling. So for this tree, I decided to put one of the larger stars, so the larger star trinkets, on the actual tree itself. Whoops, flipped it over. Now I gotta make sure I know which way is up and which way is down. I think they look very similar. Okay, we're gonna try it right like that. And for fun, because I felt like there was a really void right here on this card, I decided to add a couple of these little smaller star trinkets up here. And I just thought that would really brighten this card up. And I really love the addition of those cute little star trinkets. Aren't those adorable? Now keep in mind, these are sold out items. I have some. And when you place your order, qualifying order with me this week, you could have some too. And I'm really excited to be able to share those with you. So here's our 3 cards. I'm going to go ahead and bring them in. Oh, I smudged on the first one. That always makes me sad. So we've got the blue. So we've got some very classic, right? Some very classic reds and greens at the top here. And then we went a little bit blue. But these are really great, beautiful cards. I really love this array of cards. And I'm checking messages here really quickly. Let me flip back over to me. Hi. And I'm going to come back. I want to see messages, because I think Jess says the blue is her favorite. I love that blue tree too. Linda likes the enamel paint. It is so much fun. I highly recommend it. You could just go crazy with it. It's a lot of fun. And Patty likes the layout on the, I'm assuming the last card, so that's really awesome. I like that layout too. I mean, you could use that layout for anything. You change up your colors and your theme. That could be an Easter card. I mean, it's that simple to use. I like the square layouts too. The squares are pleasing to people that like to, like Patty. I know Patty loves to play with paper. So that's a really good layout if you're a quilter, a sewer. There's different things that we do in paper crafting that kind of mimic our other hobbies, and this is a really great one. Thanks, Janice. She loves all the cards. So that's our card class from Maine. I hope you guys have been enjoying my advent calendar reveal. I'm coming on every day at 5 o'clock for a really quick, like less than 5 minutes, opening up a door of my advent calendar and sharing the stamping goodie that is inside. That's always fun for me too. This is our class today, so I'll be back through the week doing my 5 o'clock advent reveal. I'll be back on Thursday for Thursday at 3. And I mean, oh my goodness. Michelle says the traditional colors are nice, but the blue is a great addition. It is. Tree with the red elements is her favorite. I love the tree with the red elements. That's awesome. I'm glad. This was a fun class for me to put together. They're always fun. This was week number 8 of our Festival of Trees. We've got 2 more weeks. I'm going to be coming up with 2 more stamp sets that have pine trees or Christmas trees in them. 2 more weeks, guys. We have 2 more weeks. So we will be transitioning a little bit away from Christmas as Christmas gets closer. And we'll be talking more about things that we do with trees that might be masculine appealing, right? So there's always good ways to use pine trees. All right, so that's it for me. Please leave comments if you have them. I'll check them out. I appreciate your time during our class. Make sure you get your card kits if you're interested in the star trinkets as well. All right, I will see you soon. And until next time, stay inspired, create something beautiful, and share the love. Bye, everybody.